do. The first half is the gospel. The second half is the outworking of the gospel in our everyday lives. And it's critical that we understand that when we approach this book. That we don't get the metaphorical cart in front of the horse. Sadly, I think much of the evangelical world is preoccupied with teaching people what to do, which is in the second half of the book. And the problem is they don't go through the first half, which is the gospel, to get there. You know, I've been to churches and it's like, sing to the Lord, right? Raise your hands, clap your hands, kneel here. Listen, I'm going to use my son as an example, all right? It's all right. I won't do this a lot, Bubba. All right. When he was a little guy, right, I never had to teach him to jump up and cheer when his team scored the touchdown. He played football. Right? I never had to teach him, like, get excited. Now, when you guys cross the finish, when you guys cross the goal line, get really excited and cheer and shout and throw your fist up in the air. I didn't have to teach him how to do that. That knowledge is built in. But in many movements around the country, I mean, worship leaders are probably the worst, not Pastor Steve, but worship leaders are probably the worst because you go to these churches and the worship leader is expected to be like a cheerleader trying to get the people to do something. And the reason it's so difficult is because we haven't gone through the gospel. So we're trying to get unconverted people to act like converted people. So in essence, we're spinning our wheels, again, trying to get unconverted people to do what the Bible says that they don't even actually have the ability to do. All because we're skipping over the first part of Ephesians. And even if you can get an unconverted person, by the way, to act like a converted person and to do some of the actions, he's missing the motive behind him because that is rooted in the first part, which he can't understand. It's called moralism. Doing good, moral things, believing that those things somehow qualify you, somehow justify you before God, so that when you get to the judgment throne of God, you'll be okay. It's a plague of our culture. It's one of the most seductive false gospels in the history of the world. You think you're going to go to heaven when you die? Why, yes, I do. Well, why do you think that? Because I'm a good person and I do good things. Moralism is an enemy to the gospel because it deceives people into thinking they don't need Jesus. And it's a disease in our culture, and sadly, it's affected much of the visible church. I mean, I teach my kids to obey moral instructions, and the church bears responsibility to teach its own the moral commandments of God, to bear witness to the culture, what God has declared to be right and good. We are moral beings, and we have a moral conscience. I'm not saying these impulses, they are right and they are necessary, but they are not the gospel.